Okay, so this is part 2 of the Heidt family murders. So when we last left off, they had just let Craig go because they didn't have any evidence and he didn't confess to anything. But they let him go, but they were surveilling him. While they did check out other leads, like the story of, business, financial dealings within the Heidt real estate business. So over the next few months, what they saw with Craig was that he and Robin started living together. They moved Craig into Robin and Carrie's family home. Craig also started driving Carrie's truck. Yes, he drove his dead brother's truck as if it was his own. Anyway, so after months and months of investigation and looking to other leads, 9 months later they arrested Craig for the murders of his father and the aggravated battery of his mother. Now, when they arrested Craig, he was driving Carrie's truck and he had in his wallet Carrie's children's IDs. He also had the truck packed full of his belongings. What they found out was that Craig and Robin, after they picked the kids up from school, were planning that day to move to South Carolina. So basically, Craig had just stepped into Carrie's life. He had his wife, he had his house, he had his kids, he had his money. So feeling that they had enough information, evidence to take it to trial, they went to trial with the motive being Carrie's wife and his life, apparently. Linda went on to tell how Carrie had come to be staying at their home that night. He and Robin had been arguing and he left to spend the night with his folks. Now, he had not been in his parents' home or spent the night in his parents' home for 13 years. So no one would know he was there. No one, that was going on a financial revenge would know that he was there, right? Okay. Linda also described why she had to crawl to the kitchen to get her cell phone because the phone lines had been cut and she tried to call from the room, but the phone was dead. So she crawled to the kitchen to get her cell phone to be able to call for help. She also described her shooter as a slender man. Now, when you see Craig, I'm going to show you a picture of him now at trial. Okay, scratch that. I'm not going to show you a picture of him at the trial because that's one of the pictures that doesn't work. But just know that he was thicker at trial than he had been during 2008 when all of this occurred. He was slender back then. So when prosecutors called Robin to the stand, she spilled everything. She told how the affair started. She told how she had told Carrie about the affair like a month after it started. She explained how Philip handled it and how he was talking about taking Craig out of the will and the fights that occurred in the family, even like an altercation between her and Philip that led to some angry words between him and Craig, where during that exchange, he told his mother that if he wanted Robin, he would have Robin. Again, I found this picture from the internet of Robin and Carrie. Yeah. Prosecutors also pointed to the fact that Craig was house shopping months prior to the murder as premeditation because Craig did not have any money to buy a home. He had no timber land to sell off. So they looked at it as premeditation, like he knew he was going to come into some money in the coming months. Okay, so the weekend before the murders, rather, everything was just coming to a head, okay? Robin spent Friday night with Craig at the hunting lodge. And at Saturday morning, they noticed a helicopter flying low over the hunting lodge. And it seemed like they were kind of spying on them. So what had happened was Carrie and Philip had gotten a friend of theirs to take their helicopter and fly over the lodge to see if Robin was there. Sure enough, her SUV was there, parked next to Craig's truck. And they said, if you see her, signs of her there, get video, picture evidence. So pictures were taken. So once Robin found out that that's what happened, she told Craig, and I think that was just fanning the flames of everything. And it was the last straw for Carrie as well. So after that fight, he left. He went to stay with his parents because he was angry, and he was like, I don't want to be here. I'm going to give us space. So Robin actually called Craig that night and told Craig what had happened and that Carrie was staying over at his parents' house. Now remember, this was the first time Carrie had spent the night in his parents' home in 13 years. So who would have known he was there? Financial rivals wouldn't have known that unless they were damn good. So again, so during the investigation as well, early on, the investigators looked at Craig's physical appearance, and they asked if they could look at his body for injuries, and he readily agreed. He took off his shirt, and what they found when they looked him over were 2 bruises on his shoulder that looks like kickback from a shotgun. Craig immediately stated that he got it from a fall getting out of the tub. Now, there's video of him telling this story and a reenactment of how he fell. But also noted were that the bruises were days old. It wasn't a fresh bruise on him, because he said that he fell the night before he was taking his shirt off. So the bruises would have been fresh, but these were days old bruises. They had turned yellow, and they mimicked the pattern of a gunshot kickback. I couldn't find any pictures of this online, so this is a screenshot from a recording of pictures of the bruise. So by the time trial happened, Robin, I guess, was off of Craig's side. But before that, when they were prepping and everything, she supported him. She gave $60,000 towards his legal fees, money that came from Carrie's insurance settlement. They had purchased rings because they were planning a wedding during all of that time. The defense actually came and tried to blame this guy that was making meth that lived further down the road from the Heidts. He said that that could have been one of the motives, that the financial things could have been one of the motives. The investigators had messed up the crime scene. They had let 179 people traipse through the crime scene in the coming weeks, and that there was no evidence to Craig being at the scene. So Craig decided not to take the stand in his own defense. He rested on what his attorney said. The trial lasted for 7 days. Craig was found guilty on all counts. Sadly, I did want to state that although Linda recovered from her injuries, she passed away on September the 14th, 2023, at the age of 77 after a long battle with cancer. Okay, so that is the story of the Heidt family murders. Sorry I had to rush it at the end, but it looks like it was going to go into a part 3.